Hey everyone, I am Ryan at Marine Parts Source, and I wanted to take some time to share with you another highlight of some work we are doing up at our Specialty Services Division in Port Huron, Michigan. So in addition to all the really cool projects and upgrades that we do at Specialty Services, we can also do a lot of the simple projects as well, like a winterization project. And that's what we're going to be highlighting today. We've got a Sylvan pontoon in the shop, and our technician, Nick Harvey, is going to help walk us through the process of winterizing it, preparing it for the off-season. So the first step in any winterization project is just to change out the fluids, and we started with the lower unit gear lube. Now when you're draining out that gear lube, there's a lot of things to be looking for. If you see any sort of milky residue in the oil, or perhaps there's like metal shavings in there, that might indicate a larger problem that you need a mechanic to inspect. After the gear lube was done, we wanted to change the oil out on the engine itself. Again, it's a pretty simple concept. Pop that drain plug off, let the oil drain out, and then connect up the oil changer, pump in some new oil, fill it up, and then seal it back up with the drain plug. Once again, you want to check all the oil that's coming out to make sure that it looks clean. If there's any sign of milky residue, metal shavings, anything that looks unnatural, something else that's contaminating the oil could cause the engine to not run so well, create some real serious problems down the road. So after the fluids were changed, we just wanted to do a really thorough inspection of the whole boat, make sure that everything's in proper working order and it's prepared properly for storage in the winter. And one of the things we always suggest, you want to check your water pump, especially the impeller. You want to check the condition of the impeller, make sure that it's in good condition. So we checked out the water pump in this boat, and while the impeller was not in bad condition, the wear plate had a lot of scoring on it. That indicates the impeller hasn't been changed in some time.
So like I said, we look at the impeller and we look at the wear plate and we look at the housing. Those are kind of our three big points that we're looking at. But we do have some wear on this wear plate. It's really important that the wear plate is a nice, even, smooth surface. We don't actually have any grooves or wearing caused by the impeller. Right on the slip, you see this darker ring here. You can actually feel that. Just that little groove right there is enough to circulate air, and it'll cause the impeller to cavitate slightly, and this will cause overheating issues.
So we just decided to change out all the components of the water pump. You can get a rebuild kit pretty inexpensively, and so we changed out the wear plate, the impeller itself, gaskets, O-rings, everything. So it's all brand new components in there, and it's going to pump really well, keep that engine cool. Another thing to check on the lower unit are the pickup grates, where the water is being picked up out of the lake or river, wherever you're boating, and pulled into the engine so it can be cooled. A lot of times debris can get into those grates, cause a lot of problems. So we like to take those grates off, just check them thoroughly, make sure that nothing's lodged in there, clean them all out, make sure they're clear, and then we can restore them and make sure that the boat's going to be ready. When we do pull it out of storage, we're not going to have to worry about that in the spring.
Hey guys, we'll get back to the video in just a minute, but I wanted to let you guys know I'm here at the Specialty Services shop. This is the place where we do all kinds of projects on boats, make them into the boats of your dreams so you can get out on the water and have some fun. One of the things we do a lot of here are engine repowers and engine repair. And because of that, we use a lot of engine oil. If you look up here, we got all kinds of different brands of engine oil. We use them all. And depending on what brand of engine we're working on, we may use that brand of oil. But you're gonna see there's one oil that we don't have as much up here, and that's Suzuki. Only got the one bottle here. Why do we not have as much Suzuki oil as the rest of this? It's because we used it all. Because we're a Suzuki repower center, and we want the best high performance for our engine, we're going to use the Suzuki oil. So if you're looking for some oil for your Suzuki outboard engine, just go to marinepartsource.com, pick up your bottle, and make sure that you have the best performance for your boat when you're out on the water.
Now, it's not always necessary to do a full tune-up in the fall when you're putting things up for storage. A lot of times people like to wait and do that in the springtime. But we did go ahead and check the spark plugs, and we found that there was some wear on them. It was probably time to change them, so we decided to go ahead and do that. So just threaded out the old spark plugs, put some new ones in. You want to make sure you're matching the manufacturer and specifications, using the right type of plug. You want to make sure that you gap them correctly. So make sure you check all your documentation so that you're getting that exactly right. Another really common thing to do during the winterization process is just pull off those old filters and put new ones on.
With these cartridge style filters, if you have to order one or replace one, it's always good to ask who you're purchasing it from beforehand. Like if you're buying it from an online retailer, just ask them if it comes with the O-ring. There's an O-ring actually on this cartridge style filter, but there's also one on the top here, and the filter doesn't come with the one on the top, so we had to purchase it separately. And I've dumped the fuel out just to check the contents of the housing here. And there's quite a, I don't know if you can see it, but there is quite a bit of debris, floaties and cruddies in there. So put a new filter in here. I'll probably honestly take a little bit of cleaner, spray this housing out just to make sure we got all the debris out of there. Our new filter, drop it down into the housing here. We're just gonna thread this housing. Like I said, I've checked this surface just to be sure we don't have any debris.
Another great rule of thumb for when you're doing a winterization job is to grease everything that needs to be properly, get some good lubrication on there. It's going to protect it through the off season, any kind of cold months that you might experience. So we had Nick go through and grease all the Zerk fittings. We used BRP triple guard grease. It's a great lubricant to use. It's going to protect all of these different components. We also used it on the drive shaft and on the steering tilt tube as well. It's just going to give really good protection through the off season. And even when you pull it out in the spring, it's probably going to still be in pretty good enough condition to where you could hit the water with it right away. Then we just did some more general inspection around the boat. You know, it's good to just take a real good thorough once over, make sure that everything seems like it's in really good condition. So checking all the anodes, make sure that none of them need to be replaced. We looked at all that. Wiring around the boat to make sure that all of that was in good shape, that we didn't see any corrosion going on, that there weren't any wiring that was frayed or just in bad condition that might need to be replaced as well. So all of that looked good. We were ready to move on. So finally, we got to the steps of winterization that are probably what people think of when you say winterization. So let's start with the fuel system first. And it's really important to treat the fuel system and protect it through the off season. You've got the fuel sitting there, the boat sitting there. It's a lot of opportunity for the fuel to separate, for it to corrode the components that are inside the engine. So you want to take good care of it and treat it with the proper chemicals that are going to really protect the engine.
All right, so we have a lovely windy day. As you can see here, I've got our fuel treatment hooked up. I just disconnected the fuel line from the tank side of the primer bulb, hooked up our portable tank with our fuel treatment in it. I've got it primed up, got the muffs hooked up for water. We'll turn some water on and then fire this thing up and run our fuel treatment. We'll let that run for about 20 minutes or so. Make sure we get the whole fuel system treated. And then we will do the antifreeze flush. I'm gonna hook up the laptop to it, just check for any fault codes, clear some stuff, just make sure it's all hunky-dory on the computer end. And then yeah, she should be winterized at that point.
So we like to start by using some recreational fuel in the engine, which is your like non-ethanol, higher octane type of fuel. You probably will find it more likely on boat docks than you would like at the regular gas station. But anyway, you want to find that recreational fuel and try and run that through. That's what we use.
As you can see, we've got a good steady stream of water. Our new water pump looks like it's kicking butt. Seems to be running great. So we're gonna let it run for about 15 to 20 minutes with that fuel treatment. That way we know the fuel system has been completely treated. And then we will do our flush.
In addition, we like to mix in some seafoam or stable fuel stabilizers as well. And we even put a little bit of two-stroke oil in with this mix as well. It's just gonna help to lubricate all those components inside the carburetor, really protect from corrosion. So that mixture does really well. Even when you're running the motor, you can actually hear an audible difference once the motor picks up that fuel mixture kind of dulls the sound of the motor, but really it's picking up that mixture with that two-stroke oil and everything in it. And that's, again, just going to help to fully lubricate that entire fuel system, protect all of those really sensitive components throughout the winter months.
All right, so I hooked the laptop up and everything checked out. We don't have any current codes on the engine. And there's some code history, but that was when we had issues with the throttle position sensor. So cleared that out and everything else looks good. So she is good to go. We're gonna let her run a little bit more on the fuel treatment, and then we will hook up the winterization cart for the antifreeze flush.
Finally, and also one of the most important steps, is you want to replace all the water that's inside the engine with antifreeze. You don't want water sitting in your engine over the course of the winter, especially if it gets cold. If you're in an area where it gets really cold and water freezes easily, that can do a lot of damage to engines. You could pop a manifold, you could pop a water pump, you could even crack the engine block, and that's an expensive repair.
All right guys, so me and my infinite wisdom forgot to set up the camera here. I've already flushed it, but I'll just tell you real quick, kind of a brief overview of what I did. This is our winterization cart. There's a 5-gallon bucket that's plumbed into just a water pump that comes out as a garden hose. And then I have some muffs attached to it, which I then just put on the lower unit, the water intake there. From there, I dumped 2 gallons of 75 below antifreeze. You know, you could really get away with probably just doing a gallon. I put 2 because I'm doing this by myself, and it gives me a little bit of time from when I fire up the water pump to start pumping the antifreeze in to when I can go and actually turn the ignition on for the engine. So that buys me a little bit of time. We use 75 below. We could probably get away with 50 below. But you know, you just don't know what kind of winter you're going to get out of Michigan nowadays. So past few winters have been pretty mild, but you know, we want to play it safe and put the 75 below in just in case we have a good hard freeze. But yeah, so then I just let it run until it sucked this bucket pretty well dry. There's still a little bit left in there, not a lot. And then I went and turned the engine off, turned the pump off. And you just want to make sure that the water outlet here is projecting the red antifreeze out. So it's shooting red antifreeze. Once you get the red antifreeze out here, I wait about a minute or two, let it do that. By that time, that bucket should be getting pretty close to empty. And that way we know all the water cavities, the jackets, everything has been filled with antifreeze inside the engine. So he is good to go. The winterization is complete. Did the fuel treatment and the flush today. I also hooked up the laptop, pulled all the information off his ECM for his engine, and then I'm going to turn that into him as well. But that is essentially the full service for this Suzuki outboard. We've done everything from plugs to oil change to fuel filter. We greased the Zerks. You know, we did the water pump housing and impeller. You know, the fuel treatment, the antifreeze flush. We touched all the bases on this. So if you guys want to learn more or are interested in what we're doing, please like and subscribe this video, and we'll put some more content out there. Thanks.
So once again, if you've got a boat up in the Michigan area, our guys in Port Huron can help you with any sort of special upgrade that you might want to do or any kind of other project. Just give us a call. Here's the number on the screen. And as always, if you're looking for parts, components for your boat, check marinepartssource.com. We've got thousands of boat parts, and we've got a whole bunch of people with a lot of experience that you can call and ask questions to as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel so you get more of this great content. If you've got any thoughts you'd like to share, please leave them in the comments down below. Thank you.